Well, the sun is set on another Super Football Conference Super Saturday. We are down to the Final Four in both the publics and the non-publics. If you're still alive, you're 2 wins away from calling yourself an overall New Jersey State champ. Good to see everybody. Jimmy Cavallo right here at Paramus Catholic, a night after the Paladins with a riveting victory over Immaculata. Paramus Catholic trail 24-20. With a minute or so left in the second quarter, they would score the next 43 points on this game. They're moving on to the non-public B semifinals. We'll get to all the non-publics later, but on this Alliance Orthopedic, powered by Parisi, Super Football Conference weekend recap, we're going to start with the publics. And of course, it's it's that time of year. I mean, it's here. It's prove it. It's win or go home. It's the time when you want to show them all that you belong and you earned every bit of where you are. Westwood and Ramsey, okay? Section championship up for grabs. Coach Bobby Guy and the Cardinals, only that one loss. They avenged it a week ago against Caldwell. And boy, they proved it on Friday night. I mean, their defense forced 3 turnovers. Their team, reflected what Stevie Klein and these seniors wanted to do. They wanted to hold up the standard. I loved hearing Stevie Klein talk about the standard. The great history of Westwood Cardinals football. They wanted to hold up the standard. They certainly did that. They are moving on now to the Group 2 overall semifinals in the state of New Jersey. And again, I spoke about sophomore quarterback Bruno Vega. He's so impressive. In the thing, listen, you're going to see a lot of guys in highlights all along the way and kids making plays and doing great things. But if you watch Bruno Vega on Friday night at home for Westwood, you see him score a touchdown. And, the old saying, like, act like you've been there before. I mean, he's a first-year starter. This guy crosses the goal line, very little emotion, calmly runs over, flips the ball to the official. It's like I said, he has set the tone for this team offensively, and Klein and the boys, just a great job. So Westwood is moving on. We'll talk a little more about where they're going a little later on in the show. And then there's Group 4, Ramapo, Northern Highlands. If you have tickets to a great play, you know what I mean, or you're going to see a movie that's getting unbelievable reviews, and you talk to people, they're like, went to the show, it's amazing, saw the movie, fantastic. You kind of know going in, you're on your way there, you're about to see a great Broadway show. You're about to see a great movie. It's the same thing with Ramapo Highlands. I mean, there's just no way this was not going to be a classic. This wasn't going to be what all the great writers we have in North Jersey covering instant classic again. They played to a 1-touchdown game in round number 1. It always comes down to these 2 teams. It didn't disappoint once again. I mean, the game goes to overtime. Highlands, give Coach Dave Cord credit. I mean, he probably knew all week long if he scored and had a chance in overtime on the road, he was going for the win. And he went for the win. I mean, and it's like, listen, it was dramatic. It was compelling. It was everything you want. I mean, what else is he going to do but go chase Calarco, power football, let's try and win it right here. But listen, Ramapo read it, they sniffed it out. Schneider, LaDuca, Gerba, Yesis, all to the ball. There was no drama at the goal line. There was no referees having to figure out, did he break the plane? And now, Ramapo has beaten Northern Highlands 5 straight times. But listen, Northern Highlands, I mean, listen, you can't come any closer. You got so much to look forward to. Chase's career is over, all these seniors, and now Tucker Canning and those guys who will come back. Canning is special. He'll be back. Highlands, lives in this game. They live in this game. They won it in 19, 21, 22. But now they've lost the last 3 in 23, 24, and 25. But hey, it was everything they built it up to be. We'll look at the highlights of this one a little later. Ramapo is moving on to that group final. Group 5, Passaic Tech and West Orange. I mean, man, I told you Matt Demarest, he raises his level. Coach Matt Demarest for PCTI in the postseason. This game, how about 98 points between these 2 teams? And it had a little bit of everything you'd expect kind of out of Passaic Tech and West Orange. 14 touchdowns in the game, 23 penalties in the game. The difference for the Bulldogs of Passaic County Tech, they scored 14 points with their defense. You know what I mean? Those are like double points, right? It's like you're about to score, but instead we score. So instead of you putting up 7 on the board, we put up 7. It's like that quick 14-point differential. They did that twice, and now Passaic Tech, the section champs in Group 5, third title in 4 years. Listen, this is their time of year too. You see it all the time. You know, the super back for West Orange, Farrard Green. I mean, my goodness, 5 touchdowns rushing, a kickoff return. But again, you got to give Passaic Tech credit. They develop football, right? How do you develop football? Point of attack, up front. You know, this is an offensive line, open up holes for all these skill guys they have there, PCTI. That has no seniors. I mean, like, you know, how many times do you see a team playing championship football games around Thanksgiving that has an offensive line with no seniors, okay? It's a lot of credit to those guys. I mean, so they are moving on for good reason. Take on Bridgewater Raritan. We'll get to that a little bit later in this Alliance Orthopedics Super Football Conference weekend recap. And then, like, listen, Ultapan. I mean, you know, when you think about Westwood, Ramapo, Passaic Tech, going into those games, you were like, hey, they're vulnerable. I mean, you know, Ramsey can do some things. You know, there's no doubt Ramapo's taking on Northern Highlands. They could get picked off easily. West Orange, you know, I mean, listen, this is a team they've already beaten in Passaic County Tech, West Orange. I mean, so Passaic Tech avenged the loss. Myself, it's like, look, I don't love to do predictions. I think it's just, this is high school football. It's a little unfair to kids to stick that on. But, I mean, to think that, you know, Wayne Hills was going to go into Ultapan and make this happen, it's just too tough. I mean, you know, Ultapan, you know, Zach Maselli, now you're seeing the Zach attack. The guy is just comfortable. He's confident. He's in control. He's the leader of the band. You know, throws 3 touchdown passes in the first half. This game is 35-7 at the half. And now Ultapan is 11-0. And, you know, Ultapan is, you know, just, you know, they get the big one, okay? They get West Morris, okay? And this thing has been like, you know, the proverbial 2 freight trains coming down the same track, but coming from opposite directions. And they're going to meet here. And Ultapan is, you know, seeking the three-peat. Remember now, they've won the overall group championship in Group 3 back-to-back years, okay? So they are looking for the three-peat. You know, this is a rematch of the 2022 Group 3 semi. Ultapan won that game 21-6, but let's face it, 11-0, 12-0, something's got to give. It's going to be a lot of fun. Passaic Tech, the Bulldogs, taking on Bridgewater Raritan. I know folks from up north were like, wow, Bridgewater Raritan, don't know. But give Passaic Tech some credit here, okay? You know, we just spoke about this victory they had over West Orange. They started out the season 0-2. 0-2. You know, all that work in the summer, all the anticipation, right? Okay, you come out of the gate 0-2. You got to get up off the deck if you're Matt Demerson. No matter who, you know the season's not over. You know you got a long way to go. But listen, it's a tough way to start. This semifinal, they won this game 2023 and 22, but they haven't closed the whole deal, winning the final game of the season to become the overall New Jersey state champ since 2015. So that Group 5 Final Four, Bridgewater Raritan and Passaic Tech. And then we go to Ramapo and Peaburg. Rematch of last year's game. Peaburg won that game a year ago. So Ramapo, wow, you come off this high of Northern Highlands, North Jersey, and now you got the state liners, you know, you're like, wow, they're from a million miles away. But your memory is quickly reminding you that they beat you emphatically 35-6 in this game. Peaburg, you know, again, you're taking a grasp of a team we don't really know about up north here. Their only loss is to St. Joe's Metuchen, a non-public team, so you respect what they've done. It's a rematch. It's Ramapo. The Green Raiders have been so successful, obviously, in their history, in their recent history, so successful, and then maybe up to a point, you know, where they haven't closed the whole deal. 2019, they go 13-0 under the late, great legend, Drew Gibbs. So listen, it's going to be interesting. Right now, on this Alliance Orthopedics powered by Parisi Super Football Conference Weekend Recap, let's take a look at some of the highlights from Friday night. And we start this one with the Cards and the Rams, Westwood and Rams.
Westwood comes out like you want to come out. Watch this. Boston College bound, Stevie Klein. Gone. 55 yards. And Steve Klein and Westwood have struck first in this game. It was 8-0. You knew Ramsey needed to be mistake-free on this night, but they weren't. The ball is loose, and Connor Reedy is ready. Ready. Reedy is gone. Scoop and score. 16-0 Cards. What a start for Westwood. Then it's the sophomore quarterback again, Bruno Vega. Watch Vega. Give him some time to survey the field, and he sees BS. Brian Slavonis. 22 yards on this one. They're right down to the 1 yard line. From here, Bruno time. And it's 24-0 Westwood. It's all Cards. Westwood was in total control. Vega looking. It's time to go, Bruno. 19 yards. Second rushing touchdown of the game, and that is it. Westwood rolls in this game, 32-6. And your Alliance Orthopedics player of the game, Stevie Ballgame. Steve Klein, Special K, 9 carries, 101 yards. He gets the touchdown he needed to start the game, and the Alliance Orthopedic player of the game. We move on to Don Bosco Seton Hall Prep. Undefeated Don Bosco. First possession. Bosco goes jet mode. Zakai Murphy. Look at the blocking. And Zakai is navigating to daylight. 77 yards. Don Bosco has struck first. Then, first play, second quarter from the 8. Watch the 6'1" sophomore quarterback, Carson Shane. Good little move inside. Shane strolls in. It was 14-0 Bosco. To the third quarter, it's 21-0, and the top seed looks like the top seed. Shane drops the screen pass to another 10th grader, Kasai Thomas. The kid Kasai has had a great year, 42 yards, and Don Bosco is moving on to the semifinals. Final score, Don Bosco 42, Seton Hall Prep 7, and the Alliance Orthopedic player of the game is the Jolt Jr., Zakai Murphy, 6'1", 180 pounds. He got it going with a 77-yard touchdown run. Zakai Murphy, the Alliance Orthopedic player of the game. Away we go, Highlands on the road, taking on C.G. Grusser and Ramapo. Ramapo gets the ball first, and Casey Grusser has a man. It's Salavoti, and just like that, first play, 11 seconds, Sally Boy goes 61 yards. But Northern Highlands goes back to work, 14-play drive, and from the 11, TK, Tucker Cannon, 11-yard touchdown, and this game is tied at 7. The kid Canning is legit. Ramapo would go back on the prowl. Excuse me, Mr. Referee. Excuse me, Mr. Referee, because the senior quarterback is coming your way. Casey Grusser. The dude is such a competitor, and he will take this onto the 35-yard scamper. Down to the 5-yard line from here. Hey, it's Hayward. Liam Hayward. 5-yard touchdown, 14-7 Ramapo. Still early second quarter. Northern Highlands from the 1 mark this formation. Chase Calarco, 1-yard touchdown. Looked easy. Extra point no good. 14-13 Ramapo. 1 minute left in the second quarter. Ethan Sue was having a day. Ethan, this is going to be his second interception of the game. And Highlands has the football late in the half. Now, it's going to be Jack O'Callahan to Drew Vandersnow. Watch Drew, puts on the brakes, whoop, makes it happen. Touchdown Highlands, and they have their first lead, 21-14. Oh, rise up, Drew. You made a play. Third quarter, after a long run by Grusser, it's Joe Yes's time. Grusser to Joe, and the game is tied at 21. It would go to overtime. Ramapo strikes first. Liam Hayward Ramapo leads by 7. Here come the Highlanders. What a junior year for Tucker Canning. 30th carry of the game. Touchdown. Highlands is down by 1. And guess what? They decide to go for it all. A 2-pointer for the section title. This play worked the first time, but the Green Raiders are all to the ball the next time. Ramapo protects the end zone. And that's it. It's a 3-peat. The Green Raiders are section champs. What a game, what a night. 28-27 Ramapo. And the Alliance Orthopedic player of the game is GG. Number 3 in your Green Raider program, Gino Gorga. 14 tackles. Oh, GG. That's how you play in a section final. To the Super Football Conference scoreboard in the postseason. Non-public beat. DePaul, the defending state champs, no problem. They win by 21 points over St. John Vianney. Paramus Catholic, they trailed early, led by a lot late, and they roll over Immaculata. Butler, they are a section champ. They beat those Colts of Kinnelon 28-14. They are going to the state semis. Old Japan, they are the defending New Jersey state champ for a reason. They can play, no problem. 42-14 over Wayne Hills. How about Bergen Catholic? They roll over St. Joe's Metuchen. It's Bosco Bergen next. St. Joe's, they shut out Del Barton at home. SJR, 35-0. Who will they play next? St. Peter's. St. Peter's wins 31-17 over St. Augustine's. It's St. Peter's, St. Joe's in the semis. Passaic Tech and West Orange. Boy, they put up big points, but Passaic Tech is the section champ. 56-42 win. Bridgewater Raritan, they get the section title by 7. 21-14 over Bayonne. How about Cedar Grove? Wow, section champs. 37-13 over New Providence. West Morris came into the game undefeated. They're still undefeated. 35-14 over Summit. They win the section title. And finally, Shabazz. They are going to the state Final Four. 26-16 win over Madison. Shabazz gets a section title.
1, go.
We continue to roll on here on the Alliance Orthopedic Weekend Recap. The sun is clearly set here at Paramus Catholic on a Saturday afternoon. It was a fun Friday night here. It was a fun Saturday afternoon for, of course, Bergen Catholic and St. Joe's playing afternoon football. You know, like, listen, no disrespect to a lot of the teams that were in the non-public quarterfinals. I don't think anybody predicted there would be much drama in the quarters. I think, you know, everybody sort of had their ideas that the semifinals were set, and they are. And so away we go now with the semifinals. You know, you have a bunch of teams now trying to book their passage to MetLife. You know, you have a bunch of teams now who have their sights set on winning the whole thing. It's that time of year now where in these kind of games, you have at least 4 quarters of football left where your stars can shine. And you're expecting the stars can shine. Or it can be where the big names are held in check. You know, because that is the itinerary for every defense now that's still alive and playing in the non-public semifinals. There are so many big stars. There's so many guys with offers. There are so many guys with 10 offers, 15 offers, 20 offers. People expect those guys to beat you in a big spot, but so many times, as we've seen these games, I'm doing this a long time, 25 years at these games. Sometimes the big guns are held in check. And who enters? The next guy. The guy nobody saw coming. The guy that's had a good year and probably gets in the car with his parents after these games and says, man, I get overlooked, man. But did you see that play I made here? You see that play I made there? But that's what it's about. You know what I mean? It's about, sometimes it's about the understudy when the curtain goes up that steals the show. And there's just so many great opportunities now for these guys to put it out there. I tell these kids in the hallways every day here at Paramus Catholic, go out and prove it. You know, play with something to prove. Play with a chip on your shoulder. You know, and that's what lies ahead, you know, for these teams. Listen, we'll start with non-public A, and we'll start with, you know, the granddaddy of them all, as our guy Mike Quick likes to say, Bosco Bergen. It's Bosco Bergen round 2. You know, you go back to September, Don Bosco wins, you know, 14-9. That was September 26th. And it's almost like since September 26th, Bergen Catholic has wanted one thing. Let's get through the rest of this season and let's get another chance to play Don Bosco. And now they have it. And this is how it should be, of course, right? Did you see how the World Series ended on Fox? The announcer, he said, hey, you want to be the champ? You got to beat the champ, and as close as it looked like the Dodgers would not win the World Series, they did. So now Don Bosco has that opportunity. That was a 1-point game last year in the state final, Bosco-Bergen, before Bergen Catholic owned the fourth quarter. Bosco has done everything they've had to this year. And when you look at Dan Sabella's Don Bosco team, they excel in all phases, okay? They have all the tools. They have all the complementary football, special teams, offense, defense, coaching. They have it all, okay? And they have proven it. They're 10-0, okay? They're home. Why are they home in the state semifinal, the non-public A semifinal against Bergen Catholic? Why? Because they proved it, and they earned it. And so here they are. Then that's what they should rally around, and that's why they have a great chance to get to MetLife on Black Friday, okay? But of course, it's not going to be easy. I mean, they're taking on the 4-time defending champ. Want to be the champ? You got to beat the champ. The 4-time defending champ. Like when Don Bosco won 6 titles in a row, starting in 2006 with Matt Sims and those guys, and ending in 2011, I said to myself, man, 6 titles in a row. I don't think, because there's so much parity in this league at times, so many great players. It's one year it's Joe's and Bergen and Bosco, and there was Promise Catholic winning 3 titles in 5 years, 12, 13, and 16. But I said, man, I don't think a team can win 6 titles in a row in this league again. And all of a sudden, Bergen Catholic has 4 in a row. And they're going for the drive for 5 is right here, okay? And they have, they have everything you want. They have a giant chip on their shoulder. They have a championship coach. They too play great complementary football. They too have everything. I mean, the margin of victory in that September 26th game was nothing. It didn't even exist. It was 14-9. There was no touchdown scored in the second half of the game. It was right there for the taking. Just like St. Joe's, Don Bosco was right there for the taking. Don Bosco beat St. Joe's in overtime at St. Joe's. So this is it. I mean, this is what you wanted. This is the great theater. This is, Bosco-Bergen part 2. Then you get to St. Joe, St. Peter's. I just said Bergen Catholic was sort of waiting for their chance once again after that September 26th. The next day, okay, we went to Haven Point, St. Joe's, St. Peter's. Great game. St. Peter's gets off a great start. St. Joe's takes control of the game. St. Joe's has a 1-touchdown lead with 6 minutes left in the game. They're driving the length of the field. Looks like, hey, they're going to take the clock and the game with them. But St. Peter's gets the ball with like 3 and change left in the game. And listen, Tyler Bell is Tyler Bell for a reason, okay? He goes 5 for 5 on the drive. He kind of shreds the St. Joe's defense. He gets St. Peter's into the end zone with about a minute left. And give Rich Hansen Jr. credit, he was going for 2 all the way, just like Dave Cord was going for 2 all the way. And they get it, and they win that game. And I remember looking at St. Joe's walking onto the bus that day, and they looked like, wow, what just happened? But you know what? That's September 27th. So they've waited, St. Joe's, for this opportunity to get back to Haven Point. St. Joe's likes their vibe right now. You could just tell St. Joe's wants the opportunity to prove everybody wrong right now. They got, Best is back, Bailey is back. You can't really focus on Best and Bailey from the St. Peter's loss because the defense was on the field with a chance to win the game, and they couldn't stop them. So it's like, that's football, right? That's how it goes. But you like their vibe right now. What they're gonna have to overcome is getting off to a good start. It's not easy to get off to a good start when you play at Haven Point on a Friday night, okay? In November. It's a Friday. It's a work day. It's a school day. So you're gonna have to either leave early to get down there from school, okay, to avoid the traffic, because if you leave at 4 o'clock on a Friday, that could be a beast of a ride. But if you leave early now, you're gonna get to Haven Point if you're St. Joe's, and you're gonna have like 3 hours to sit around. And it's not that comfortable there, okay? The locker rooms are under construction. I don't know. So you find yourself, as the opposition there, sitting in a couple of baseball dugouts on a turf field. And that's okay, right? As long as the weather's okay. But it's like, you're just kind of standing around for hours and hours, and you don't want the kids getting too amped up. Like, do you get taped up early? Do you start warming up early? So Augie Hoffman's going to have to manage that. That being said, St. Joe's is happy to be there, and they are in the right frame of mind, and they are playing with that big chip on their shoulder. Their last title is 2018. They wanted another chance at St. Peter's. I think in their heart of hearts, they'd love to see Don Bosco again one more time to avenge that loss, because that's the perfect script, okay, for St. Joe's, okay? Go to Caven Point, win in the semis. Get to MetLife, you've already beaten Bergen Catholic, so we already beat them. Get Don Bosco at MetLife, win that title, and then you have the trifecta, right, or the quad. You beat Paramus Catholic, you beat St. Peter's, you beat Bergen Catholic, and you beat Don Bosco. So that's how it's going to play out in the non-public A. The non-public B is pretty simple. I mean, DePaul, Holy Spirit. DePaul's the defending champ. DePaul does not have, it's crazy. If DePaul and Paramus Catholic meet in the state final at MetLife, I mean, they're going to have like 11 or 12 combined losses between these two teams. I mean, it's not pretty when you're playing a heavy hitter's ball. And playing in this division in the Super Football Conference is a heavy hitter's ball. And they will have the losses to prove it. But guess what? Who cares? Who cares? Okay? That's why you are the seed you are. That's why you are the number 1 seed if you're DePaul. That's why you are the number 2 seed if you're Paramus Catholic. Because the committee does the right thing and looks at competition. They value competition. And now DePaul is going to get Holy Spirit. Again, I don't want to say anything negative about Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit started the year out losing to Northern Highlands. Okay? Northern Highlands. Okay? So I expect to see DePaul at MetLife on Black Friday defending their title. DePaul and Paramus Catholic played a very close game this year. So Paramus Catholic had a lead at DePaul going into the fourth quarter, and DePaul took over and closed out like a champ does. But Paramus Catholic does not have a gimme to get to MetLife, okay? I know they're going to say, the kids in the hallway, Jimmy, come on, man. We beat Red Bank Catholic 30-16. Well, it was a 1-point game at the half. Red Bank Catholic has a great kicking game. They have the pedigree, as I mentioned too many times. They've won this title now, twice in the last 4 years. So RBC, Paramus Catholic, right here on Friday night is going to be festive. What I would say about the Paladins of Paramus Catholic, they have done just what a coaching staff looks to do. And if you're Greg Russo running the offense as the head coach, if you're Brian Durango running the defense, if you're the aforementioned great Christian Maldonado running these spectacular defensive backs, they've gotten better. They've been progressive. And the one thing that I really like, and I tell these kids every week, is they are spreading it around. They have so many different guys making plays. They got 2 dynamic running backs. They got 3 dynamic receivers now catching the ball. They really have 2 quarterbacks in the mix. Okay, and so right now, Paramus Catholic seems to be really pulling on the rope together. It didn't look great here, okay, for about 18 minutes on Friday night, okay? Paramus Catholic flipped that switch pretty quickly in that game, okay? A 43-0 run in the game, 35-point third quarter, and they ended Immaculata season quickly in that game after being down 24-20 with only 2 minutes left in the second quarter. So it's going to be interesting. Would love to see Paramus Catholic and DePaul at Black Friday in that 5 o'clock slot. I mean, who's going to be in that top slot? I don't know. You have 4 teams who have all proven it. Bosco Bergen, St. Joe's, St. Peter's, they have all proven they belong. Only the fittest will survive. Only 2 teams will emerge. We will cover it all here on the Super Football Conference Network. The Alliance Orthopedics weekend recap is over. Good luck. We'll see you on the trail this week. Let's go, baby. It's that time of year.